human scale. Today on Fortitude through Stoicism, and this is my 365-day journey of implementing the ancient philosophy of Stoicism into the life of this modern masculine man. This month is really dark. It's all about mortality. It's all about death. And the other day when I had met my client and fellow philosopher, we were commenting on how dark this part is, and I kind of wish Ryan put it in the middle of the book, kind of like a shit sandwich, like good, oh, the shit, then back to good and finish good. But me, Mr. Positivity, I'm always going to try and find the positivity or the different angle here. So I'm going to read the quote by Marcus Aurelius. Remember, he wrote Meditations when he was kind of towards the end, right? And he was definitely looking at his mortality. So there's a lot of that in here, but I'm also going to give you my spin. So the quote today, Marcus Aurelius: think of the whole universe of matter and how small your share. Think about the expanse of time and how brief, almost momentary, the part marked for you. Think of the workings of fate and how infinitesimal your role. And that's what I'm going to focus on here, right? Because he's talking about how, the age of the universe, according to science, is about 4.5 billion years old. I'm kind of doing my tea here. 4.5 billion years old. And we live a matter of decades, right? It's a blink of an eye. It's not even a blip. But what I want to focus on is a different type of scale. Importance, right? Self-importance, because he's talking about it here. He says, well, think about this. Next time you feel self-important, or like everything rises or falls on what you do, it doesn't. And I will tell you, because here, it took me a while to put this all really, really together. Now I think about this in my mindfulness all the time. I'm going to share with you this, okay? A while back in Stoicism, one of the Marcus Aurelius meditations, he was talking about how he envisioned himself being further and further away from the earth. Now, he was never up in a plane, obviously, so he couldn't see what we see, but he could tell that things are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually you wouldn't even see them, right? So I want to share with you a personal experience, right? And this goes back into the military, and it really is about scale, and it's about really even deeper than it's about perspective and understanding and mindfulness. So, when you're a grunt and you're at the very point of the action, sometimes you get orders and they're just like, man, like that's stupid. Why are we doing that? This makes no sense, right? You are just one piece of a very big element, right? And I never realized this until I got hurt when I was in Afghanistan. And when I got hurt, they gave me some injections for my knee, and I had to spend some time in the TOC. And I was a battle NCO, which means I had all of the screens in front of me. I knew where all the elements were. I knew where all the different units were. And then, and only then, once you hear the orders, you're like, oh, it makes sense, right? Because that one little infantry unit where I used to be a part of, for example, man, that could have been a diversion, a distraction. It could have been a supporting element. And all the while, I'm sitting there thinking, this is freaking stupid. But when you back away from the whole thing and you see the bigger piece, you're like, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So you are just, and it says here in the lesson, you are just one person among many doing the very best you can. And that's all that we need to do. And that's kind of why I've shifted in my mindset in that I don't see myself as an American. I see myself as a human, as a citizen of humanity, right? Because men arbitrarily drew a line and said, okay, you people over there are this, and we're going to be over here and we're this. I mean, it creates division, right? Doesn't it, though, in some sense? That's a person. I'm a person. And so, yes, while I understand the need for borders and all this other stuff, I'm not making that case. What I'm saying is the way that I just view the world now is a little bit different than the way that I used to view the world. And yeah, maybe it does have to do with the human scale, has to do with perspective, and has to do with mindfulness. So today's going to be a short one because I don't want to talk about death or negativity. But I do remember what it's like being at the tip of the spear and just not understanding, right? And it happens to us in business when we get caught up, right? We're in the moment, we have the blinders on, and we can't really see everything around us, or we're emotionally caught up. This is where mindfulness is. This is where it comes in. This is where meditation is. Because when you step back and you really start peeling away those layers and just letting your brain actually do what it's supposed to do and critically think. Now remember, our educational system is not designed to teach critical thinking. It's designed to teach following orders, right? Get in a line and walk single file line. Raise your hand to do this. Ask permission to go to the bathroom. It's all about following orders. And remember, because it's designed for factory workers. I mean, this is the Bavarian system. Remember how it is, going back to like the late 1800s. Nothing's changed. It was designed to create good employees. And that's what classrooms do. If you look at people who are good students, they become good employees. If you look at students who were terrible students, they become owners, right? Because they don't believe in the rules. They don't believe in the structure. They think outside the box. I was terrible in school. Boy, that's just changed now, huh? I'm extremely intelligent. I've read over 1,000 books after I left college. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. So, we're talking about the human scale. We're talking about how insignificant we are. And the truth is, right, there's 8 billion people on the planet. We all have different skill sets. No matter what you're good at, someone's going to be better at it than you. And if not now, time will be the equalizer. So, for example, if you're Michael Phelps, whatever, and you won a gold medal, well, 30 years later, you get in a pool against some young kid, he's going to whoop your ass, right? Time is the equalizer. Scale. So that's why, man, it is really humbling when you really think about this from an elevated approach, and you step back and look and realize, man, we're just ants. we're bacteria. We really are insignificant, but yet because of our mind, we create such this illustrious this universe, if you will, in our mind that we're so important, and we're not. And that has been probably one of the most humbling things for me about Stoicism is no matter how important you think you are, you're really not. And that's the human scale. We're insignificant. And so that's why it is so important for me to live that dash to the absolute fullest, because it is so small. You know, I've done a lot of things in my life. And when I reflect now, and I'm gaining even a more sense of freedom, and the opportunities for me now are much more abundant, I realize that I'm even looking for the more simple things. I don't want to own properties where I've got to maintain them, and I don't want to own vehicles, and I don't, honestly, the hurricane was a great thing, shedding another vehicle and just realizing that sense of freedom that, hey, I can come home on a weekend and I can rent any vehicle I want. It's cheaper too. It is. So for me this last year, and I know we're kind of getting to the end of this Stoic journey, but it's been very humbling. It's been very eye-opening. It's been very grounding. And through all of this, I've realized that a lot of the things that I thought mattered really don't. And I'm finding much more pleasure in the simple things. So on that, time to rock and roll.